Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host Jamie Carter, back again, wearing my Forest jersey, my pride and joy. Um, it's the 30th year anniversary of the Premier League, and I thought I would do something that no one else is probably doing on YouTube right now. And I thought we'd go through each season individually, do a brief overview of every single season from the 1992-93 season, excuse me, when Sky Sports came into play, showing the first live game, which was between Nottingham Forest and Liverpool on Sky Sports, and that finished 1-0 with Teddy Sheringham scoring the winner for Forest. Now, Teddy Sheringham didn't stay at Forest very long that season. He left about halfway through the season, or less than that, and ended up going over to Tottenham Hotspurs, which is the team that he's most famous for playing for. Obviously, Manchester United, where he won everything that you could win pretty much. So that was the first ever game live on Sky Sports between Forest and Liverpool. Now, that particular season, obviously, Forest, unfortunately, would go down. Brian Clough would retire from management, having managed Nottingham Forest from 1975 through to 1993. He would retire at the end of it all. Um, great manager, the greatest manager that's probably ever existed, along with Alex Ferguson. I say from the point of view of the resources that he had to go with, and the fact that he got Forest up in the 76-77 season. He got them up from finishing third in the third place in the promotion areas to winning the league the following season, which would now be the Premier League in the first division. He won that league, and then the League Cup that season in the first season up, which has never been done before since then, or before then even. And then after doing that, he won the Champions League and the League Cup the year after that, and then he won the Champions League again, or European Cup as it was called back then. So truly great times from that period from 77 to 80. Forest dominated and they came out of nowhere, and so he'll always be remembered for that. I always remember that season for that. Obviously, being a Forest fan might come across biased, and it is biased, but really it's a tribute to a great man. Brian Clough won pretty much most of the trophies that Forest ever had, apart from a couple of FA Cups that they had previously from years back, going back into the 50s, I believe, and beyond, and even further back than that. So in that season, though, it was the first season in the Premier League. Obviously, Manchester United won in the first season, the 92-93 season, and they was run close pretty much all season by Aston Villa and even Norwich City, which you can barely think about today because Norwich City, obviously they're a bit of a yo-yo team these days. Currently they're down in the Championship in the 21-22 sorry, I'm getting it wrong. The 22-23 season. But yeah, that season, Norwich finished third and Aston Villa finished second, and they were 10 points behind the eventual champions, Manchester United. Now, Manchester United, at that point, had not won a league title for 26 years. So Matt Busby was in the crowd when Manchester United won that. He was to later die, unfortunately, that season. But he got to finally see Manchester United win the first division title of the Premier League, the first year of the Premier League. So great times for Manchester United. Obviously, they would go on and dominate for most of the 90s. But yes, Manchester United finished top of the league. In that season, in the relegation zone, Crystal Palace, Middlesbrough, and as I said earlier, fortunately, Forest finished bottom of the league. The team of the year for that year in the Premier League was Peter Schmeichel, the Manchester United goalkeeper, David Barsley, who played for Leeds United, Gary Pallister, Paul McGrath, Tony Dorigo, who played for Leeds United, Gary Speed, who played for Leeds United, Paul Ince, Roy Keane, Ryan Giggs, obviously all Manchester United players. And then up front in the team of the season was Alan Shearer and Ian Wright. The PFA Player of the Year was Paul McGrath of Aston Villa. Aston Villa finishing second that season. And the PFA Young Player of the Year for 1992-93 season was Ryan Giggs. And the goal of the season, as voted by the viewers of Match of the Day, was from Dalian Atkinson, and it was for Aston Villa away at Wimbledon. And he scored that on the 3rd of October 1992. I remember it was a jinky run from the halfway line. He took on about 5 or 6 defenders and smashed the ball past the goalkeeper. So, great times. Other things to note of that season, Teddy Sheringham finished the top goal scorer with 22 goals after having those first few months at Forest and then going over to Tottenham. So he finished the top goal scorer in the first year in the Premier League Les Ferdinand finished second with 20 goals. Dean Holdsworth of Wimbledon finished third with 19. So, there's great things that happened. The biggest transfer of that season was Alan Shearer going for 3.6 million from Southampton to Blackburn. He went there to join Jack Walker's Revolution, a very successful businessman from the Lancashire, from the Blackburn area. He was later to do great things for Blackburn, along with Chris Sutton, his other strike partner that would be at Blackburn. So the biggest win of the season was Blackburn beating Norwich City 7-1. The longest winning run was 7 games by Manchester United and Sheffield Wednesday, respectively. Longest unbeaten run was 11 games by Manchester United. Longest winless run was 13 games by Ipswich Town. The longest losing run was by Nottingham Forest with 6 games without winning. And the highest attendance of the season was 44,619 between Liverpool and Everton in the Merseyside derby. And the lowest attendance was Wimbledon versus Everton. Wimbledon always had small fans, and they played at Selhurst Park, which was obviously, or shared Selhurst Park with the original owners, Crystal Palace. So rivals, but they shared a ground for a long, long time. The average attendance for the whole season, for the 92-93 season, was 21,125. So, yeah, there's all the facts and the figures. In that first season in the Premier League, there was 1,222 goals scored, and that was over 462 games. Back then in the Premier League, it was 22 in the first season, 22 teams. But that would change over the following seasons, where it would get narrowed down to 20 teams as we know it now. So the average goals per game was 2.65. And the home wins, it was 214 home wins, 130 draws, and 118 away wins. So they're all the facts and figures from the first season of the Premier League. Then jumping into 1993-94, obviously Manchester United had won 92-93 season, and they were to go on and win it again. This time, they had Blackburn Rovers challenging them instead of Aston Villa. Aston Villa, who had finished second the previous season, ended up finishing 10th. Manchester United finished top with 92 points. In second place, Blackburn Rovers were there with 84 points, and they were on a bit of a revolution under, as I said, Jack Walker, their new owner, who was pumping a lot of money into the club at the time. Alan Shearer was scoring a lot of goals, but the top goal scorer for that season was from Newcastle United's team, and that was Andy Cole, who had signed from Bristol City the previous season when Newcastle had won the old second division title, or what we would have called it then, now the Championship title. And it was their first season in the Premier League. They finished third. Andy Cole was scored 34 goals. I met Andy Cole years ago at a Bristol City game. He was watching his son Devante Cole at a League Cup game, and he was a really, really nice bloke. So fair play to him. He goes down as one of the main legends, striking legends of the Premier League era so far. In second, no surprises, Alan Shearer, who had obviously had that transfer the previous season from Southampton to Blackburn. He finished second with 3 goals behind Andy Cole with 31 goals. And then equal third place, it was between Matthew Le Tissier of Southampton and Chris Sutton of Norwich City. So, yeah, great strikers. Ian Wright was in 5th place, and he had 20 goals for Arsenal, obviously. So, yeah, good season. In the team of the season, Tim Flowers, the Blackburn goalkeeper, was in the team. In the defensive areas, Gary Kelly of Leeds United, Gary Pallister of Manchester United, as in the previous season, he was in the team. Tony Adams of Arsenal, Dennis Irwin of Manchester United completed the back 4. In the midfield 3, it was Paul Ince, Gary McAllister, and David Batty of Blackburn Rovers. Eric Cantona of Manchester United, the king, of course. Alan Shearer of Blackburn Rovers at the time, and Peter Beardsley of Newcastle United were in that team. The PFA Player of the Year, no surprises, Eric Cantona. Manchester United won the double that year. They won, which is obviously winning the league and the FA Cup. They beat Chelsea 4-0 in the FA Cup final. The PFA Young Player of the Year, no surprises. Top goal scorer for the 93-94 season, Andy Cole with 34 goals. That record has still not been beaten by anybody in the Premier League era. Goal of the season came from Rod Wallace, who played for Leeds United versus Tottenham. Other things to point out from the season, the highest transfer was from Nottingham Forest to Manchester United. Obviously, Forest had gone down the previous season, so Roy Keane moved to Manchester United, and obviously we know as the years went on, Roy Keane proved a pivotal part in a lot of the wins and trophies that obviously Manchester United would go on to win, dominating the 90s and quite a lot of the noughties as well, to be fair, the early. So, yeah, that was a 3.75 transfer. The biggest win of the season was Newcastle United beating Swindon 7-1. The longest winning run was 8 games by Manchester United. Longest unbeaten run was 22 games by Manchester United. Longest winless run was 15 games by Swindon Town. Longest losing run was 7 games by Tottenham. Highest attendance was Aston Villa versus Liverpool, and that was 45,347. Lowest attendance was yet again Wimbledon, like the previous season, with 4,739. Wimbledon versus Coventry. Average attendance was 23,040, and going into the games played was 462 games. Goal score was 1,195. That was an average of 2.59 goals per game. Home wins there was 192, draws there was 142, and away wins there was 128. So yeah, that's the review of the 93-94 season. Very, very good start to the Premier League era so far. Manchester United have won the first 2 titles, but who would win the next title for the next season, which would be 94-95? Well, tune in to find out, because we're going to do that one a bit later. Have a great week. All the best.